Welcome to another edition of This Week in East Brunswick. This week, the East Brunswick Public Schools are in the news with a big school board election and budget information. Students, teachers, parents, and administrators turned out for a successful rally in support of the 92-93 school budget. And Senator Frank Lautenberg visited Memorial School to talk to kids about drug abuse. We'll also take you to a Readathon held Saturday at the Ramada Renaissance and a Read Aloud held here at the library. These stories and more are coming up next, including the opening of the Oak Creek Senior Housing Development, information on how to select a kitten on your pet doctor, and our regular council review. But first, we'd like to let you know what's on the Channel 8 schedule for next week. Beginning Monday morning, Lenore Kulik starts off the week working out with seniors on Look Great, Feel Great. That's Monday at 10 a.m. On Wednesday, Lenore offers a breast care update at 2:30 and 7 p.m. Bunnies, bears, and birds are featured on Stories from the Library Monday at 10:30 a.m. and Wednesday at 3 p.m. You and Your Money host Paul Hansen discusses estate planning Tuesday night at 7:30. Wednesday evening's schedule includes a look at research tools that East Brunswick High School students use on Spotlight on Education at 7:30. On 18, Growing Up in East Brunswick, host Laura Ivan talks to students about their college experience. That's at 8 p.m. Thursday evening, we'll bring you a new edition of This Week in East Brunswick with stories from all around the township. That's shown at 7 and 8 o'clock. In between, at 7:30, tune in to Let's Talk Health for information about martial arts and bodybuilding. On Saturday morning, beginning at 9:30, we cablecast a complete rundown of the week's programs. Tune in to the Community Bulletin Board for the titles and times. Tuesday evening was a big night for the East Brunswick Board of Education. With 3 seats open and 3 incumbents running for those seats, it was a tough election between them and the 2 other candidates. Incumbent School Board President Dr. David Seiden regained his seat on the board with 2,133 votes. Another incumbent, Dr. Henry Pritzip, received the most votes with 2,193. And former board member Thomas Maum was elected again after a 2-year absence with 2,083 votes. The upset came when incumbent Vice President Neil Rosen failed to get enough votes to surpass Thomas Maum. The 5th candidate was newcomer Bruce Watt. In other school board news, the 92-93 school budget was passed by the over 6,000 voters that turned out on Tuesday night. Both the current expenditures and the capital outlay portions of the budget were approved. The Board of Education will elect a new president and vice president at the next meeting to be held on Thursday, April 16th at 8 p.m. Last Thursday, a huge group of parents, teachers, students, and administrators gathered at the high school for an education rally. The rally was held to gain support for the 92-93 school budget before the election on Tuesday. Several local officials and educators were there to offer support.
And that's what we're here tonight all about, continue the excellence. My job as your state senator, in addition to be a PTA member locally, is to do something about keeping East Brunswick on the right track, making sure the funding is here. But in a broader range, there's something that we have to do in Trenton to relieve the property tax burden and put education expense somewhere else, that it doesn't affect property taxes. What's happening today, and the reason that it's a shame that we actually have to have a rally in East Brunswick, considering how proud our residents are, how proud our everybody is of the excellence within our community. But we're pitting seniors who children aren't in school against those of us that have children in school. We're pitting urban school districts against suburban school districts. I mean, this tax situation is truly dividing us and not bringing us together for what we really need to do, and that's excellence in education.
So few citizens get involved, and again, I congratulate you all for coming out here tonight, because this is very important, and it's important that you show how important that is by getting involved. We're here to help. We're newly elected legislators. We take our role very seriously. We are your advocates in Trenton, and our job is to continue the excellence.
I think everybody in this room recognizes that we need to vote yes on this budget because it's important for the kids. and we only have one chance at educating our children. You do it right the first time, or you don't do it right at all. And that's why we have to do it, and I think everybody in this room knows that, and I don't have to tell you that.
Explore New Worlds. Read is the 1992 proclamation of the Library of Congress in honor of Christopher Columbus. The New Jersey Reading Association and the New Jersey Connection sponsored a readathon to help celebrate. Several famous local celebrities were on hand to read to students, parents, and all who listened. Fifth grade teacher Marianne Savino explains.
1992 is designated as Explore New Worlds Read by the Library of Congress. The New Jersey Connection is celebrating this theme throughout various activities. New Jersey Connection is a coalition of 17 child-related associations and corporate sponsors joined together in striving for a common goal. As quoted, giving our young people the gift, the joy, and the promise of reading. Throughout the state, activities are being held to encourage our young people to a lifelong love of reading. Our readathon today has been such an example. It involves young people and prominent adults from the community and the state reading aloud their favorite selections from literature. We wish to thank the students and their parents, the dignitaries of East Brunswick, and Commissioner Ellis and his wife for participating in this project.
And in a related story, the library presented a Reader's Theater on Wednesday, April 8th in celebration of National Library Week. Libraries all across the country take part in the Great American Read Aloud by holding a variety of reading events on that day. The program, sponsored by the Youth Services Department, consisted of stories and poems read by volunteers Stacy Corus, Sarah Molesky, Rachel Rear, Tracy Grazioli, Suzanne Klein, Miriam Habib, Melissa Morgan, and Mary Jo Phillips. Excerpts were read from Horton Hatches the Egg by Dr. Seuss, Switch Around by Lewis Lowry, and the poem Slugs by David Greenberg.
Number 892, and it leaves at 1:30 from gate 45. Do you both have everything? The stubs for the checked luggage are stapled to your tickets. Do you both have your tickets?
Caroline opened her pocketbook and showed the ticket to her mother. J.P. was looking the other way, pretending he'd never seen them before in his life. But his ticket was visible, the end of it appearing at his jacket pocket.
Are you sure you don't want to check that bag? It looks heavy.
I told you, it's my valuable stuff.
He shifted the small suitcase from one hand to the other and made a finding device.
It's all his tools, plus a dumb broken radio and a busted clock that he found on a trash can on 82nd Street.
Why don't you print up announcements about my personal life, Caroline? Maybe you could stand on the street corner and distribute them.
Hi. If you're like me, you've spent most of this winter hibernating. Well, East Brunswick, it's time to get out there and do something. For the next few weeks, I'm going to be joining you and filling you in on what there is to do in East Brunswick. Now, of course, you know there's an excellent recreation program offered by our department. But this first series is going to concentrate on new and different things out there in the community that you can do, offered by the commercial sector. Now, some of these things are hot, and some are not, and some are expensive, and some are inexpensive. Some may be for families, and some may be for singles. But the idea is we just want you to know that there's plenty to do in East Brunswick, and there's no reason to be sitting home in front of the TV set. So I want you to join me, turn off that set, and get out there and try what East Brunswick has to offer. You know, life's full of lots of choices to make, and unfortunately, people make the wrong ones, like alcohol and drugs. This series is about exercising the right choice and picking the choice that's right for you and your family. So come on, East Brunswick, let's go exercise the right choice.
Choices! You gotta make choices. Hey kid, you wanna fly? You gotta buy. Choices! Come on kid, let me hook you up. No!
Exercise the right choice.
Visit your local park and recreation department today.
Hi, welcome back once again to your Pet Doctor. I'm Dolly Vasta, and I'm with my co-host, Dr. Brian Johnson from the Cranberry Veterinarian Hospital, and we're going to be talking today about picking out a kitten, and we certainly have an adorable one. Is that a male or female?
This is a little girl, and it's a Himalayan, which is one of the types of cats that we have. This happens to be a purebred, but it really makes very little difference whether you have a purebred or an All-American. Out of my 4 cats, 2 came right off the street, and they're tiger-striped All-American cats.
Yes, I've seen them. Well, okay, we talked the last time about dogs, of course, and picking out a puppy. Does the same apply to a kitten? Now, there's a whole different set of characteristics here and a whole different way of life when you own a kitten.
Well, this is one of the quieter kittens, quieter types, believe it or not. The Siamese, if you like that, is the clown of the cat world. They're all crazy. You have to be a little bit crazy to have one. I have one.
That speaks for itself.
That speaks for itself. They're live wires. The Persians are very quiet. The All-Americans have the whole host of personalities, and they're wonderful. And the only thing nicer that I found than a pussycat is 2 pussycats at one time, because they keep each other company. They get into less mischief. They play with each other, and it's true. I always try to get them in pairs when I've gotten cats. It makes very little difference whether you have an All-American or whether you have a purebred. I always recommend that you get them when they're young. Of course, if you feed them well, they don't eat your fingers. But if you get them when they're young, let them develop their personality in conjunction with yours, and they will give you 15 years of very enjoyable life.
I would find that a very frightening thought.
What's that?
Oh, you know, applying their personality to yours. Not yours, but to mine if I have.
Any animal you have grows up just like your child as a reflection to some degree of your personality. Many things you can tell about an individual from their animals. Scary.
Yes.
But it's true.
Do animals really look like their masters, in other words?
We have a few of them that do, but if I start mentioning them now, I'll lose a bunch of clients.
You'll be in real trouble. All right, now you've got a kitten and you think you like it. What do you look for as far as signs of health?
No discharge from the nose. Nice active kitten, as you see this one jumping around, biting my finger. This is what you're looking for. Not one that sleeps, lays in the corner, is totally inactive. One that's well-fleshed. You can't see on this because he's all fuzzy, but if you feel here, the ribs are not sticking out. Look for any evidence of having diarrhea, vomiting, things of this nature. If you get a cat that's nice and healthy, active like this, then you're in pretty good shape. And again, once you get them, bring them to your veterinarian right away, whoever he may or she may be. Get them checked out if there's worms or ear mites, get them taken care of right away, and start on your inoculations.
And once again, the many different pounds.
They're just
so
overrunning with them right now. Yes, the pounds can get you a nice little cat. You can look in the newspapers if you're looking for a specific type. There are many places. Look in the newspaper, they're loaded, and there's many catteries around where they'll sell any specific type. If you just like the All-Americans, and I love the All-Americans, a neighbor, a friend, the springtime is coming. It's the breeding season for our little guys. There'll be plenty available. But keep them in the house. Don't let them run free with this rabies problem that we're having.
Well, that's another whole subject in itself, but they really should be neutered.
Absolutely have them neutered. It makes a much nicer pet with less problems and less cost to you in the long run. The life of the neutered pet is usually 1 to 3 years longer than your non-neutered pet. So whether it's a male or female, by all means, get them altered.
Now let's face it, if you're not going to breed an animal, why bring so many kittens into the world?
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason not to have him neutered. It's better for you, it's actually healthier for your cat or dog, and in the long run, you both will be happier.
And on that note, we're going to take off until next week, and we have a surprise for you next week because we have a cockatoo. Cockatoo?
Cockatoo.
Cockatoo, okay. Take care.
An afternoon of films with a Jewish flavor was presented by Bob Lippet Sunday the 29th at the library. People packed the meeting rooms to see Mr. Lippet's collection of rare film clips and to hear his stories about the movies. The movies have been a lifelong passion for Mr. Lippet, and he frequently shares his collections and stories with audiences at colleges, libraries, and resorts. He focuses each lecture on a particular theme. This one, films with a Jewish flavor, included a short with comedian Willie Howard.
After studying you through the X-ray machine, the nurse sees what you have got. When she sees that you have got $800, she says the doctor will have to operate. So you reply in French, "Concert du pompier, on tient du pompier." Operate? For what? So she will reply, for $800.
A behind-the-scenes short film of the making of Fiddler on the Roof.
That I can tell you in one word. Tradition!
And a clip of Mary Pecan.
Hey, Ma, give me this. And hey, Ma, give me that. Hey, Ma, where's my coat? And hey, Ma, where's my hat? I'm not eating home. I'm out for the day. Don't most of us talk to our mothers that way. We don't stop to think when we go out at night that maybe she's lonely, but it isn't right to leave her alone in the house all day long. Why? She's just the old lady, and she'll get along.
The afternoon was co-sponsored by the East Brunswick Division of Recreation and the Arts Commission. Two proclamations were presented by Mayor Ira Oskowski at the April 6th East Brunswick Town Council meeting.
Whereas literacy is critical to personal freedom and the maintenance of a democratic society, and whereas an individual's ability to read, write, and speak in English are necessary to function on a job and in society, and whereas the public libraries of Middlesex County established and funded a strong program to offer private literacy tutoring in libraries, and whereas the program Literacy Volunteers of Middlesex recruits and trains tutors and provides tutoring services directly to persons desiring increased literacy skills, including English as a second language. And whereas this program is celebrating in 1992 its 12th year of service to the residents of Middlesex County, and whereas the East Brunswick Public Library and Friends of the Library have been active supporters and participants in the work of Literacy Volunteers of Middlesex, and whereas the Mayor and Township Council thank the volunteer tutors for their commitment and effort, salutes the adult learners who are achieving their goals and developing their potential through literacy, and congratulates the Literacy Volunteers of Middlesex. Now therefore be proclaimed that I, Ira Oskowski, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, do hereby proclaim the week of April 5th through April 12th, 1992, Literacy Week in East Brunswick. Whereas the state of New Jersey has long recognized the magnitude of the problem of child abuse and neglect, and whereas child abuse can damage the lives of children physically, mentally, and emotionally at a loss to society that is immeasurable, and whereas the Governor's Task Force on Child Abuse and Neglect is involved in improving the efficiency and professionalism of the New Jersey child protection system, and whereas all sectors of the community, including law enforcement, medical professionals, schools, courts, the media, and private and public agencies have joined forces to promote public awareness of the problems and increase community support and involvement. Now therefore be proclaimed that I, Ira Oskowski, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, do hereby join the state of New Jersey in proclaiming the month of April 1992 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in East Brunswick, and urge all my fellow citizens to become involved in efforts aimed at preventing our children from being abused and neglected.
In other business, Township Council President David Zarnowski announced that the public portion would change to the much-requested dialogue format. Residents would be allowed 8 minutes to discuss issues which would include an immediate response from council members. Many residents applauded this as a marker of open government. The previous format had come under criticism for its lack of spontaneous interaction with the council. To beautify and educate is a long-range plan for the Great Oak Park located at the junction of Ruse, Riders, and Winton Lane. According to Dan Dugan, planner and landscape architect for East Brunswick, the first phase is to establish a synoptic garden, which is a grouping of plants indigenous to the New Jersey area. For example, he explained, the plants will be placed in alphabetical order beginning with Acer, the botanical name for the maple. Woody plants for canopy and berms to frame the area will be established first. In addition to aesthetic appeal, we feel this will provide educational opportunities for local college students and scouting groups, Dugan said. The $18,705 from the Small Business Tree and Planting Program grant was awarded by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and Energy, Division of Parks and Forestry. This past Tuesday, the Oak Creek Senior Citizens Apartment Complex on Brunswick Avenue was dedicated. The 79-unit low-income facility at New Brunswick Avenue and Hendley Drive broke ground in January of 1991, and its first occupants started moving in February of '92. Oak Creek's sponsor and manager is National Church Residences, whose home offices are in Columbus, Ohio. The East Brunswick Community Housing Corporation, whose members will serve as the local advisory board for Oak Creek, initiated plans to develop additional housing for low-income senior citizens in 1985. The $5.7 million building was funded largely through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Section 202, Section 8 program. Additional funding came from New Jersey Department of Community Affairs' Balanced Housing Program, Middlesex County Housing and Community Development Program, and East Brunswick Township.
This structure is here as part of a community. It's a beautiful building. We're proud of it as a structure, but we should not lose sight of the fact that it is a community both of the people residing in it and to extend out to all of East Brunswick. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the political leadership of former Mayor Fox, who was the mayor of the community when this project was initiated. These things don't happen without political leadership and courage and foresight and dedication. And a couple of other dedicated people that were here at that time. Betty Richter-Reba, who was already acknowledged once, but I would be remiss if I didn't recognize her again, and Jim Sweeney, the consultant, and also Gunter Lewin from the East Brunswick Community Housing Corporation.
Somebody who isn't here today with us physically, but who is here with us in spirit, is the former president of the East Brunswick Community Housing Corporation, who really put this whole dream into reality, and that was Roberta Nalvin Burke. Several of her children are here today. I'd like to present this plaque to Emily as a representative of the family. This will be hung in the community room, which you'll all see later, and it reads, "This room dedicated in loving memory of Roberta Nalvin Burke."
This past Monday, Senator Frank Lautenberg visited Memorial School to help support the Drug Abuse Resistance Education Program. The D.A.R.E program is being taught to youngsters throughout the district by Officer Anita Waite and Officer Mark Sismar. Senator Lautenberg was called upon to help with the day's lesson on where to turn.
Sitting with those 5th grade students, talking about how to help them to avoid getting involved with drugs. They're also bright and pleasant and interested in things. They talk about things like the environment and talk about not smoking, talking about things that affect health. Well, they know, I hope, that nothing is more detrimental to their health than drug use. And if this message can get in places across the country now, I want to say this. It's a lot easier when you have children who have a family environment, who have a home that they can go to, who have people that they can call upon. Much, much easier. These are not the typical children who fall prey to drugs, but everybody has to be on the alert. But those who come from the poorer families, from the broken families, often from an urban ghetto environment, very, very tough. So today was, for me, a kind of Operation Uplift. It was nice to see these young people, nice to see how thoughtful and intelligent they are, and how concerned they are about the way we function as a society.
Have you been in one of these D.A.R.E programs before?
I have not. I'm very impressed to see a police uniform in there and the kind of very friendly, positive way that Officer Waite handled this. And she and her partners from the local police department who work to help youngsters prevent from involvement with drugs, as opposed to having to deal with it later on and dealing with them as either problems for society or in some cases felons. It's just the right thing to do. So it's an excellent program, and I hope, as I've seen in the material I read, that it is a program that's spreading. I hope that it continues to do so. You know, New Jersey is a terrific state. I was born in New Jersey. My parents lived their lives in New Jersey. You like New Jersey, right? What a nice idea it is that we have police departments who are trying to help. Have you met Officer Waite before?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you think, okay? Yeah, she's okay. All right. What's Officer Waite's job? What is she trying? Yes.
To keep kids off drugs.
To be?
To keep kids off drugs.
To keep kids off drugs. Absolutely right. What else do you think?
To help people with their problems.
Help people with their problems. What do you think, son?
To teach people, like, not to take drugs.
Not to take drugs. Officer Waite, the message is getting through. Look at this class, seriously. You really are a handsome, beautiful group of young people. And what do we want? We want you to grow up healthy and strong and be able to do things in your life that you'd like to see your parents do or that your parents wished for you.